Alright, we got webcams on, everything looks good to go, and welcome to the Mech Warrior Online League Network cast of the Clan Smoke Jaguar versus QQ Rage Quit. I am heimdelight, and joining me is...
I'm Siriothrax from the People's Itty Bitty Kitty Action Committee.
Wow, that's a long name.
I've been waiting to say that.
Alright, so let's get things rolling here. Our first drop tonight is on Forest Colony Snow. It is a 1 light, 1 medium, 3 heavy, 3 assault, if I read that correctly, on Forest Colony Snow. This is Run Hot or Die, week 3, so we got the normal rules of Conquest modified as King of the Hill, only capping the middle point, best of 5. And it's first to 3 wins of the series.
Now, you played this actually just the other day, EMP versus 228. How'd that go for you on this map?
Um, we took the usual water push because it's Forest Colony Snow, so the longer range, hotter weapons are able to, I guess, deal damage a little bit easier. You could do a little bit more DPS. And just a quick update: they're waiting for CSJ to ready up in the lobby right now. We're going to be jumping in the action soon. But yeah, we went water, and we kept our direwolves putting pressure on the main line down the middle of the road. And we moved up our timberwolves through the boat up on the left side, kept poking, and it left the direwolves essentially uncontested. You could, Proton started taking out mechs left and right, so everyone took advantage of any mechs that 228 left in the open, and ended up being an 8-0. Actually, they hold up in their spawn, so that was the upper spawn as well. That water side behind boat is just very powerful.
Well, let's talk about that. Like the water, this is one of the heavier drops, and we've said it before, but heavier drops, they tend towards you're able to fit more of those long-range, hard-hitting weapons, especially on things like the direwolves. So that water side, it gives you those long lines of fire that you're not going to get in on the hillside. Now, do you think both sides, it's kind of in vogue right now to be just bring direwolves, have long range firepower, but do you think either of them could pull anything sort of like faster play through the land side using cover there, or is the water just too strong?
I think the water's too strong with the clan mech weaponry, the modules, the targeting computers, and they are in the drop, by the way, so I'm going to launch us in.
I am in. And just a heads up, if you're not reading the chat, we do have a second stream going at twitch.tv/Siriothrax. You can put up a multi-Twitch with both of them on. We'll try and get you 2 views of the game. So we are still in the Dreamers countdown.
It is not letting me log in, apparently.
Refresh.
I'm having issues.
Is it the name that you're typing? Make sure you put a space between drunk and Canuck.
Yeah, it's definitely not the name. I think I'm going to refresh client really quick.
Okay, well in the meantime, the teams have not started up, so it feels like somebody is being slow loading in, so you've got a bit of time here.
Catching a break.
They have just started. To those who are on MWLNN, I'm gonna link it in chat quick.
I am logging back in, typing the... That's kind of unfortunate.
Alright. So in blue we will have CSJ. They brought King Crab, so it's not a King Crab, 2 direwolves, a Timberwolf, a Hellbringer, 2 Timberwolves, a Hellbringer, Stormcrow, and a Raven 2X. They're sitting pretty far back, just on their lower spawn here, getting long lines of fire down the mid, like we're talking. QQ is in red. They've got similar, but their direwolves, they brought ultra autocannons on that. They're rolling up the mid towards Theta Cap Point in force along the beach, not going all the way out into the water. I'm going to hop into a first-person perspective and try and give you some of the action that way. Morgan from CSJ in a direwolf, he's got one of his torsos stripped off, and his CT has been opened up. Or sorry, this is QQ's side.
We got
He's
webcams
opened up by
on,
the focus
everything
fire
looks
as
good to
they
go,
come down.
and welcome to the Merc
QQ has
Corps.
taken Theta. Now, that's not going to be a big deal. This is going to turn into just a straight slaughter. Slaughterfest, Killfest. Map is too small to do anything else. Warlord for QQ, he's also gotten half his direwolf taken off, and QQ, all in all, they seem to be in a bit of a rough spot. By the way, are you in, Heim?
It won't let me load in. The client's not.
Monkey, the last direwolf for QQ, is also down to 56%. QQ as a whole, they seem to be, they're bunched up by Theta. They're not getting the best ends of their trades. Monkey loses half his weapons there, and CSJ is relatively untouched, to be honest. Like, lowest they've got is 87%. Well, that's basically the highest QQ have got. And they're just spreading out in the water, getting good lines of fire. And I don't think there's enough, like, 4 mechs down for QQ, and I don't think there's anywhere near enough momentum for them to be able to switch this around.
Well, Siri, you might have to switch over to your perspective, or if you want to try streaming the spec tool. After the...
Like, it's just straight up, like,
It's
when you
just...
refresh the page, it doesn't log in.
When I click the name, it just refreshes. It doesn't do anything. So when I click spectate, you know.
That's odd. But it still gives
you
the option to enter.
I got it.
Okay, good.
Wow. Okay,
Sorry,
that's
guys.
pretty terrible.
May drop tech difficulties. Yeah, CSJ is just pushing up into the beach with the overwhelming lead they've got, cleaning up the last QQ mechs. That push out of QQ, we'll mock it up rather on the screen afterwards, but it was straight down the gut. They had brought UAC-5 direwolves instead of the more laser vomit Gauss oriented builds, meaning that when they were in between the 600 meters to 1,000 meters, that CSJ was able to put down some pretty brutal fire on them and take 2 halves of a direwolf off, get the others in a position where they no longer have the momentum to push, and on my stream there was no sound. Shit. Oh well.
Oh wow, that first match was a flop for both ends then. That's okay. We got the feed for this one at least. That's an 8-0 by CSJ. Pasha Osis and a direwolf, dealing 800 damage, 2 kills. Energy, now known as Esoteric, dealing 2 kills, 600 damage. CSJ just completely wiped the floor on this map. Looked like they had some longer range stuff.
It was coming down. QQ pushed straight down the middle, and those 2 direwolves just got so much work done in the first maybe 45 seconds of that match that it was almost sealed from the get-go.
Wow.
But I'm gonna screenshot that. Oh, God damn it, too slow. Anywho.
So, back into the... And we're back. Okay, so we're on the forest colonies now. And you do have we're on the canvas thing, right, still? At least that's working, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one thing going for us, and I assume my camera's up, so 2 things.
Yeah, so we could at least draw out what happened that match. Really sorry about the technical difficulties, by the way.
I blame Bill. Alright, so QQ, they had the high side, and they brought 3 Ultra AC-5 direwolves, 3 Timberwolves, I assume it was a Stormcrow plus a Raven. and just off the bat, they pushed straight down the gut like this. And it was 2 king crabs, 1 king crab, 2 dire wolves, Hellbringer, 2 timberwolves, Stormcrow, Raven 2X for CSJ, and all they did was literally just step right here onto the Delta 4 numbers, and from there, long firing line all the way up to where QQ was pushing. Direwolves were leading the push for QQ. Direwolves were focused out from the front of the push, and after that, QQ just... There's a small hill here by Theta that they just took refuge behind. CSJ spread out deep into the water, just multiple firing lines. Anytime QQ tried to push or to poke up and get a trade to perhaps get it back in their favor, instantly 2 or 3 guys firing back on them, and it just spiraled out of control from there.
Yeah, that going down that very open, visible road from B2 down to that Theta area is just not a good idea. You can pretty much see, you know, the enemy team down in the D5 spawn or CSJ spawn. You could see pretty much the entire enemy team movement going down that road towards Theta, and you just get free shots on them the entire time with long-range weaponry. It's kind of unfair. I'm not sure what QQ is trying to do. The better idea is usually to go shoreline and then, you know, work your way up to boat from there and see what your options are. I think going straight in the open is a little too... it was a little too open. It was a little, you know, opening up your entire force to CSJ mechs that are in cover. I mean, I didn't even really see the match, and I can tell you that that's pretty much what happened is... yeah, the QQ didn't hold up at that long range angle. They literally just had a disadvantageous position the entire time, it seemed.
I think I can kind of see what they were after, and say the enemy team had pushed up like straight for boat right away, and they hadn't lingered in that D4 area, then they would have got in like the boat blocking line of sight. They would have got in this big rock blocking and in here, and normally like you would have people like heading deep for this side down here, yeah. So if they were doing that, then they could have advanced down towards Theta without getting just that withering fire on them. But
yeah, there's a firing line waiting for him.
But because CSJ just hesitated there, or I don't know if it was scouted, it was like, okay, just stop here, take all your shots, they're coming. I wonder if QQ had waited another maybe 5-10 seconds for CSJ to be like, oh, nothing's here, let's move, and then push down straight for Theta. Maybe that's better. Like, catch them in between the time where they're transitioning behind these rocks, where they don't have the initial shots and they haven't yet established on the boat. Maybe. So I think I can at least get inside their heads and see why that call might have been made. Right. But it was mistimed for sure, given what happened.
And those 5-10 seconds make a huge difference, as you could see. It's you know, because losing 4 mechs off the bat like that is not good. Alright, so the next drop is 450 tons, River City Night. This has been a pretty interesting map from what we've seen lately. Unless you adjust the gamma on your monitor, you're going to have a very hard time playing in River City Night. I don't even touch anything, and it sucks. I want to get, like, third-party software, but that's not really allowed. River City Night should just kind of be changed in the game, in my opinion.
I can't say I like it much either, so... it is a classic, though. It goes back... Well, I'm trying to remember, was it like the 3rd or the 4th map created?
I'm not sure. All I know is that I liked it better.
I'm pretty sure it was 4th. But yeah, the day version, far superior, because you can actually tell what's happening. And also, it nerfs camo. I can't see all my pretty paint.
It's really hard for spectators in the in River City Night as well. Like for people who are trying to cast matches on this, it's pretty. You know, the best you pretty much can go off of is names and like lasers, PPCs, and other crap flying through the air, lighting up the buildings.
No question about that. If like I think one of the feedback, I think it was way back when we were doing the first engagement tournament, and they were asking like what our feedback as casters was. It was, don't give us River City Night, don't give us like dark maps like Terra Therma, where we won't be able to see anything. So
Crimson Strait looked pretty good. What else? Well, River City Day looked pretty good as well. I think
mhm,
the only thing with River City Day is there's that slight fog that like
yeah,
Forest Colony kind of has, and it's like a yellowy haze. Um,
regular
yeah.
Frozen City also needs to die.
Random uh, blizzard out of nowhere that you can't see anything in, and if you put heat vision in, your FPS drops in half. But
Exactly.
I
But yeah,
remember. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Uh, I was gonna say River City Night was a lot more bearable in the beginning when the field of view for heat vision and night vision were like unlimited. I don't know if anyone else remembers that. They were different tones, colors. There's different, whole different look for thermal and night vision both. And I guess in that sense, I thought it was kind of cool because there were advantages to both. And it's like, well, you're not looking normally. You have to switch between heat and night. And and then they made the field of view really short, and then they didn't allow you to change your gamma, and it was like, oh, River City Night is like the worst map to play in the entire game now, except for maybe Terra Therma and Alpine, because you have to run to the middle hill for like 2 minutes. But yeah,
Well,
the
let's kind of segue back into like the actual uh, game here and what they're gonna have to play out. Um, and again, we're working on the modified rules where Kappa is the only cappable point.
I'm not sure we're gonna see much capping.
But well, I mean, it was the you guys played 2 to 8th, right? And you guys had the high spawn, and you guys threw I think it was a Duvo down onto Kappa right away, and just by flipping that, even though there's no immediate pressure, you have plenty of time to try and make something happen. It is a like the ball is in the other team's court to
Right.
force it
Yeah.
and to try and take it back.
I agree.
So
I agree. Yeah, if the advantage is if you can get it and not take any hits or anything on the way back, like there's really no punishment from going out there and trying to take the cap point, it's probably worth taking. Because yeah, it is inherently like the King of the Hill game. I wish the cap points were a little bit faster or something, but um yeah, the King of the Hill cap taking it, it puts pressure on the other team to do something. Um I think teams are a little bit too hasty. And I feel like the cap timer isn't that big of a deal. If they just tried to wait things out and look for better trade spots and stuff, they'd probably benefit them more. That's what you see with a lot of the smaller maps. River City Knights just I don't see it much of as an exception. Maybe taking the cap might put a little bit of pressure on, but if like a team's getting favorable trades, I doubt they'll even try and go get the cap. They'll probably just leave it until they kill a few mechs. So
mhm.
it'll be interesting.
One thing I'd also like to point out is that getting kills doesn't actually win you the match unless you get all of them. Because if you're down on the cap, and for some reason time runs out, it's a 15-minute match. Maybe I think this mode might work better if the timer was like 10 minutes, and so it's a little more pressure to get things done. But say you're up 3 kills, time runs out, but you didn't have the cap points, you actually lose.
Right, right.
Not sure if you uh,
I see.
not sure how
Yeah,
many people were aware of that point, but I agree with what you're saying. I've seen teams like lose the middle cap point and be like, "Shit, we gotta do something," and kind of just walk straight into the jaws of death because of it. And like on this map, there are sort of jaws of death because the middle like boardwalk is hard to go get up. You've got the citadel cutting it off here, and like getting out of there with a light mech, the approaches are very much controlled, and it's definitely controlled from your upper base area, which one team spawns with. The other team's going to be spawning down here by Epsilon, and like that Epsilon spawn. If they just take the time, I think they can get up into the upper city area, and then it just kind of progresses as a more normal skirmish game with like your long range trade fires, and we've seen that happen before.
Especially between that upper base and B2 area. It's really hard to trade down from that D4, D5 city area by Citadel into the upper base. That upper base is just a very powerful part of the map, just like that backside of Citadel is, but it forces a stalemate, sort of. Or yeah, that B2 is the alternative. That's another thing teams I think are going for lately. That's probably your best trading spot if you spawn on that side of the map, that whole 2 line of the map, versus the 4 line. Because on skirmish you have the spread out spawns, but on conquest everything's in that one corner for each team. So the B2 is a little bit more accessible. The Citadel looks kind of off limits. You know what I mean? Like teams can fire straight from Gamma down to that D3 area right off the bat, and it's like you already know where the enemy team's moving. So
Yeah, it's definitely hard. It's doable, but it's definitely hard to trade from there.
would you say would you say the lower side of the map is disadvantageous in general, like that D2 spawn, because you're either holed up in that lower city or you're holed up in the B2, which is like arguably an equal trading spot to the upper base? It's really hard to tell.
I'd say yeah, the lower side of the city, the whole D line area is not the greatest, and it's funny that the at least it's still like that, right? Where on assault mode, who knows how long it's been since we played that, assault mode, the two bases are still just in the D line down south, and you'll see like people will take the Citadel, but they're like forced to rotate up north in order to actually get the good positions.
Right, right. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I think so we saw QQ try and go for the brawling approach on this one. This map's got kind of a mixed thing going. If the enemy team goes into a city of some kind, like let's say um which one is team 1 and team 2? I think CSJ was team 1 last time, I
I
believe.
believe QQ is going to be spawning in the upper base.
Okay, so they might.
We can flip back to Force Colony quickly to check that, or we can just check Smurfy. Give me a minute, I'll check Smurfy.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a word from the contact for the match for when we're dropping in yet, so we got a little bit of time to burn, it seems, but I'm trying to pick up some steam from the technical difficulty from earlier. Again, I want to apologize for that. Yeah, I'm not sure why it wasn't loading into the spectator client, but yeah, I mean, depending on who gets who, what I'm trying to say here is like, CSJ's got that long range play style where they're able to read a team's movements and adjust early on to try and put that team moving in a disadvantageous position by the time they get there. That's more of CSJ's play style, it seems, whereas QQ's is like, be aggressive, try and take a lane and hold it. And that might mean long range, it might mean short range. Like we just saw in the Forest Colony Snow, they tried for that push straight down the middle. It didn't work against the long range. This has got some open area through that 3 line of the map, that middle section. So there's some open area for long range weapons to do some damage. QQ's got the long range weapon advantage, though.
You mean CSJ does?
Is QQ upper base? Or.
Oh, okay, no, I see where you're going at.
Yeah.
Yes, QQ, I just confirmed, is going to be spawning in the upper base. The catch here, like you said, they like to be very aggressive, and that's an interesting foil against CSJ's style, which they like to be evasive and just get their long range fire in. Clan ER large lasers on Alpine. And the thing to note is that QQ's builds, they tend to reflect that mentality. You saw that in the last match, they brought the full ultra autocannon loadout, which really needs to be like 400 meters or less to really get into the swing of things. So if they stick to that similar loadout and they decide just to camp upper base, then I think they're going to have problems. if they decide to leverage sort of that high ground spawn into some quick scouting, and then into a push through Park, Middle River would be a little iffy, but it's doable, or just like up onto Citadel to sort of seize the central point, then I think that might go a little better for them.
Yeah, because it's hard to say.
Drunk Canuck is deployed on my screen.
Oh wow! I just asked him. Just double check.
Yeah, he's in. Let's go. Could be longer than 30 seconds. I checked before I did that monologue.
All right, cool. We're in. Nice. We got it this time, everyone. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and without,
so I can watch that.
I just PM'd him too. All right. So, anyways, into the match time. They're already shooting. QQ's moving into the back of the Citadel, and CSJ is actually at the upper base.
Smurfy lied to me. That's all I'm doing.
So CSJ's got the upper base, and it looks like they've got the long-range weaponry to go for the enduring long-range weaponry fight with QQ out in that back Citadel water. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, but CSJ is moving up a little bit.
Credit to QQ. This is a tonnage-based drop, so they actually brought a bunch of Hellbringers, and I think those are all going to be like Clan ER large lasers, so they're not. They brought the appropriate tools for this sort of fight, and it's going to come conditioning and player skill who can get the better trades. Neither team seems to have gone for the middle point. Let me go over the loadouts quick. This is a tonnage-based drop, 450. CSJ has brought 3 Stormcrows, 2 Timberwolves, two 5-star 9S's, and a Hellbringer, and QQ has brought 4 Hellbringers. 5 Hellbringers? Stop moving. 5 Hellbringers, a Stormcrow, and 2 Raven 2X's.
Just watching Solitude's first-person view here. He's got a Streak 6 Stormcrow, so you could tell CSJ is kind of trying to get a little bit of mixed mechs in their drop deck. 5 streaks is nothing to mess with, especially if you're a light mech or a medium mech. It'll rip off your arms, your torsos, whatever else you have. It'll crit you really quick unless you're an assault mech. And it looks like right now CSJ Energy, Solitude heading this push to that middle Kappa point, and looks like they're going to hole up on the opposite side of Citadel, slowly creeping up maybe to that 4 line, maybe to the 2 line. They're in a pretty weird position right now, but QQ's even in a worse position. I'm going to go into the third person and show why.
Well, the interesting thing here to note is that those Hellbringers, they're entirely Clan ER large lasers, so if they get closed in on it, it's going to get rough for them quick. And percentages fairly even. Energy has taken the brunt of the damage for his side, whereas Carpenter and Monkey have split it. But damage-wise, pretty even.
Yeah, I'm surprised CSJ didn't try and take advantage of QQ being out in the water. Actually, you know what? Look at QQ's firing line.
Yeah, and CSJ's response is to get up onto the Citadel, back it off, don't try and work that D3 corner. They're going to try and spread out here. Don't know if they're going to do a drop-in push, or if they're just going to try and get multiple angles going. But QQ was shifted in response to this. They're out of the water, they're taking up positions in the lower base, and just trying to keep all their angles nice and tight, and win those trades. And I'd actually say that QQ's getting the better end of this. If I go into, like, that response for them was actually, I think, brilliant, because the Citadel position, now they can only get, like, 2 or 3 guys across on that, and getting firing lines, so they've got to all dive into, like, the middle trench here to just kind of get their head down, let their light scout, and just figure a way out of this.
Wow, they moved straight up into that D2, C2 platform. They're shooting from the cover of the buildings. CSJ is in a much more open area right now. QQ turned this on a dime on CSJ. CSJ's out in the open water right now, getting Drunk Canuck and the Hellbringer. Yeah, that's pretty brutal for Drunk.
Down, but it's going to be brutal for CSJ getting out of this water here.
That's one.
QQ's position.
That's 1 down for each team, and CSJ is at a disadvantage right now. QQ's been getting open shots the entire time. Look at the Stormcrow Nova in water, already lagged. He's a Streak 6, so that's a big part of their brawling team. The rest of these mechs with
Solitude's coming around for a flank, and the other Street Crow for CSJ, but he gets legged, and he's going to be focused out, I think.
Right arm critical
But
damage.
Monkey and Morgan dropping quickly for QQ as well. It is even on kills, 2-2.
New target acquired.
Leo out in the back here playing. Oh, there goes Morgan for QQ as well. This is now. Oh, that's 4.
Target acquired.
4-2 in favor of CSJ.
At 25.
Yeah, those lights, Iron and Dario, they kind of jumped up the backside here and started assassinating things on the QQ side. And at this point, like, these buildings are splitting QQ up, but the focus fire isn't really happening. It's all one-to-one trades that CSJ is dictating.
Target destroyed.
Fantastic, yeah. Fantastic shots by Dario here. He's moving really smart through the QQ team, assassinating them one by one. You got that long-range firepower of Leo in the back, the rest of CSJ putting pressure with these lights, and it's just a little bit too much for QQ to handle. The lights save this for CSJ by far. That was a very smart move for them. CSJ could have lost this had they not gone and started putting pressure on QQ's flank, but great job by CSJ and QQ turning the tables back and forth there.
Definitely, and CSJ, they had brought the pair of Firestarter 9S's. QQ, they had Raven 2X's armed with triple large laser. Not really sufficient in a tight-end brawl.
Wow. Yeah, it was even at first. You thought that QQ would have maybe got more shots in. I think it seemed like you would expect them to get more shots in. Maybe the buildings were blocking them. Maybe they weren't focus firing. I'm not seeing too much focus fire from QQ. Like you were saying mid-drop, there's not a lot of organization, not a lot of solidarity between their team. They could have taken advantage of CSJ piling into the water after Drunk Canuck, and they allowed CSJ to creep up on them, their lights, to sneak up on QQ's heavies, big teammates, and take them out. Interesting to see CSJ, you know, playing as the aggressors there.
I mean, the thing to note was that QQ had committed just whole ham onto that ER large setup, and it worked it for the beginning part where they could keep that range where they rotated out. But Drunk Canuck, he dropped into the water. I'm not entirely sure why. He was in, I think, like a Stormcrow. Maybe he was just going up to get seismic up against the bottom of the Citadel. But by him going into the water, it pinned the rest of his team into place to support him, and they couldn't keep running. They couldn't keep running to get the angles they needed, so he gets pushed on. They get a good one-to-one trade, but now they're like down in the 300, 400, 500 meters where the medium laser, large pulse, Gauss, and like Firestarter loadout of CSJ is in its prime. And once all of those sort of brawlier mechs started getting split angles and one-to-one trades, that's where it falls apart for QQ.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting match to watch. I didn't think QQ would hole up behind the Citadel like that. So I'm gonna actually, sorry, I was setting up the canvas and checking in on the contact for the match to make sure that we can launch in for the next one on time. But
yeah, I'll go over it on the canvas while you're doing that, but just confirm to me that it's up.
Yeah, okay, I cleared the
Okay, cool.
River City canvas, yeah. So
Cool, I'll take it away and give you a few minutes to get that done. Alright, well, contrary to the Smurfy scouting report, it was actually CSJ who spawned in the upper side, and they had brought the Brawler loadout. They had a Street Crow in there, they had 2 Firestarter 9S's, they had Timberwolves with medium lasers, large pulses, Gauss, all that jazz. And what QQ did to them was they rang out here, where you're past, I think it's about, that's got to be about 900, 1,000 meters. Your medium lasers, they're not going to be very effective at that range. Your large pulses, again, your Gauss are going to be hard to hit, and QQ had brought entirely, like, I think, out of 8 of their mechs, the Ravens had large lasers, a single Hellbringer had a Gauss rifle, Another Hellbringer had like 3 larges and 2 mediums. All the rest were like quad ER large. And so at this range, they were trading really effectively. They got energy down to 70%, or the esoteric. I'm not sure what the politically correct term to refer to him is now, since he's changed his name. But and they took minimal damage in return. CSJ knows they're not in a great position. They push off down here the Kappa. They try and work out this outside angle. QQ drops back deeper into the water so that they give themselves more time. CSJ says, no, we're not going to take this push. We loop around back up onto Citadel.
That was a huge surprise, too, because you'd think QQ at that point, sorry to interrupt, but in a normal situation when a team's holed up in that back area, there's a lot of ways to take advantage of it. Maybe CSJ wasn't looking at it from the right angle. Maybe that wasn't where they were looking to engage, but I think QQ had a really good firing line, you know, on like a 45-degree angle where, you know, where the bottom of that red mark you put is. I'm going to draw on there really quick.
Yep, go for it.
Like, that's where CSJ was stopped, that red bar. QQ had a firing line going straight at that opening, that, like, sort of choke point in the river. Totally prevented CSJ from going that way right off the bat. That was solid by QQ. But like you were saying, and continue on, CSJ decides right up, like, they didn't hesitate at all. They go right around the back of the Citadel. And, yeah, continue on. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out.
Commenting on that, I think the reason why they decided against it was, well, maybe they thought, like, our 9S's are going to be out of range, and if they get focused, that's a lot of our brawl potential out. And, like, same deal, like, you have Street Crows, we're looking for a shorter engage distance than, like, this 500 meters here. And they probably could have gone for it, and maybe, like, good focus fire in the initial bits, and some good, like, I want to say, dropping of aggro by the brawlers as they close in, not getting instantly focused out. Maybe they pull that off, but yeah, they drop back here. QQ's response, which I thought was actually brilliant, was pushing up into the high side of D2, and so instead of, like, the angles that CSJ were looking for were like down here, down here, and down here, like the 3 different ones where you can peek and just get your own focus fire. Will not, you can't pre-aim to cover everything. That's all flipped on them, because now they've got just this narrow ramp to work with. There's no way they can bring their entire team to bear, and so they had to dive into the middle trench, I forgot what we call it, gap on Citadel.
They poured out straight into that D3 open water side right at QQ. It's like they couldn't waste any time, I don't think. They got drunk Canuck right in the water.
Yeah, but they were in there for like 15 or 20 seconds just sort of reevaluating. And this is where I was saying at the end of the match where it kind of starts falling apart for QQ, is with Drunk Canuck going out there. I think for Seismic, he gets caught right here. CSJ, we were talking about, they were looking for a short engagement distance. Well, now it's only 100 meters. They get their first kill rounding on him, and the rest of QQ's pinned into place. They have to support him from the boardwalk. That allows, like, the CSJ lights to swing in behind, the CSJ Street Crows to come in from here, while still trading with, like, your longer range stuff, and now that's only at 400, so the ER larges are actually trading poorer. And kind of, what's that old phrase, like, fix, or find, fix, flank, finish? Something like that, and that's what happened to you.
Yeah, because ideally, like you were saying, QQ made a great move going back towards that 2 line in the city. I think if they had gone deeper into the city towards C2, towards those broken bridges, as a team, they would have been much better off because, I mean, this is all hindered on, you know, Drunk Canuck maybe getting caught in that river. Even with a 7-man team, I'd still think you're better off because they did trade 1-1 at that point. You know, backing off, because those lights, like you said, flanked. That was a huge part for CSJ. Dario getting in there, and you saw some shots Dario got. It was making great shots. Basically, those lights on CSJ put such a good distraction pressure on QQ that they lost their focus fire, they lost their organization. When you lose your organization and focus fire inside of those buildings, it makes it extremely difficult to get out of that situation. That's why it went straight from 1-1, 2-2 to 8-2. You know what I mean? It was 8-2, right? Yeah, it was 8-2.
Yeah, I believe so.
That was it went straight. I mean, it could have been closer. I think if QQ had tried to stay together, focus fire, but yeah, I think they kind of missed their chance and got flanked, like you were saying. It's difficult to defend against, but you know, you gotta, as a team, you gotta keep in mind your open areas towards your teammates. You know, where you could get flanked from. You gotta just think where's our weak side, and you gotta get ready to readjust yourselves and fortify your weak side in a situation like that. QQ kind of missed that opportunity. But let's get on to this next match. They're in the lobby forming up now. So the next map is
Caustic Valley, 400 tons.
yes. Let's get that on.
And I don't know if you've updated the score yet. Just a reminder,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I always forget.
Yeah, I did. I remembered this time. I forgot last time. Alright, so we got Caustic up. So CSJ spawned on top, that was blue. So then
So
they're
that's
gonna
the thing. Smurfy, that was the same color as QQ had on the Force Colony drop, so I don't know how accurate that is.
Oh, you gotta put the mouse hover over the little dots, and it'll tell you Team 1 or Team 2. I don't think it matches up too well.
Oh god. Okay,
I know.
that'd be why.
I know, it's kind of... But,
It's just like, okay, well that's teal, and that's teal, so that...
But okay, so the cap, I think on Caustic, in CSJ's, this is a little bit different for both teams, right? I think this is gonna be a streak drop, maybe from QQ, maybe a long range drop from CSJ or SJX. What do you think's gonna happen here?
That's the thing, is last drop showed that CSJ isn't doing the like pure range trade thing, and maybe it's just because River City isn't like the best pure range trade map, but it is possible to do like standoffs on this map in like the F3 or well, actually F3 would be the most common area, I think, for that standoff. But I mean, again, the game mode means that you would have to eventually be concerned about Kappa. So that's not really the strongest play. They'd have, because if you just hold back and cap, or hold back and stand off, enemy takes Kappa, enemy sits on the far side of the caldera and just waits for you to close in. So
It's like using Kappa as bait, basically.
yeah, that being said, going through that thought process, no, I think they're going to have to bring something closer ranged. Yes, streaks are definitely a possibility. This, if I'm not mistaken, this is the drop where you can do something like 2 lights and 6 streak crows.
That's what we did against 228 last night. EMP
I fucking
versus...
hate you.
It
It's
was
dirty
like...
as hell. I hate streaks with a passion.
All I gotta say is peak streak. It was the... We were talking about...
Alpha'd out a Hellbringer, I think it was.
It was a Timberwolf within like 2 seconds. We called...
You alpha'd out a Timberwolf. That should not be a thing.
So, well, I think it was like collectively, because, I mean, we all rounded this corner, and it was time to focus fire, so I call focus fire. And we all call the same target, Alpha. Like, I have the video on my Twitch stream, and we all call Alpha. We all shoot streaks at this Timberwolf. This poor Timberwolf, it dies just helplessly. It stood no chance. That's pretty
like
much...
I said, dirty as hell.
Yeah, it was the most dirty I've ever felt playing Mech Warrior Online. I did top damage, so I felt extra dirty.
How much skill did it take to just click that button and
The
have your missiles automatically hit?
It took quite a bit of skill to peak streak. It's like pop. It's the alternative to pop tarting. it only works on Caustic at the caldera. You just peek up the caldera and put your streaks out and then back down. You don't even have to see them hit your enemy. You just know they hit. And it's like 36 missiles or some crap, you know, some shit. It's just crazy, you know, that's just unfair. And that's basically what our strategy was let 228 take the Kappa bait and peak streak and then move up on their right side. And, you know, we out-rotated them at that point. They were distracted by the 2 lights, the Raven 2Xs at a distance, so... The streaks are nasty. You might see it out of one of the teams, but this is also sort of a long-range map. I'm surprised we're seeing shorter range play on it, to be honest.
Yeah, and... like I said, again, part of that comes back to, like, if you just want to camp, you're giving them the cap point. But I mean, that's not the only way to do it. You can rotate around sort of like the outside, keeping a healthy distance, but still getting your pokes in. So, and maybe that is part of the psychological thing you were talking about earlier, where teams are overreacting to the cap defense as they feel out this new game mode. Wait a goddamn minute.
Are they in? Are they in again?
No, they're not. No, they're not. My voice just jumped down, that's all. I scared myself for a second there. The other thing, well, 2 things. First, chat saying that my volume's a bit low in TeamSpeak. Don't know if you fixed that.
I tried. I turned it up as high as I could. I don't know what the problem is. I'm sorry.
The other thing is that I think Paul was streaming today. And I think it was Trevelius and Criven were in his chat, and they were asking him about it. And he said, if I read this correctly, that the clan streak launchers will now launch, or he's working on getting them launching like 2 missiles at a time, so it's going to be like a stagger fire. And also that their ghost heat is going to be 1.
So there's going to be no more boating of them?
Well, you can boat them, you just have to end up like firing them 2, maybe 3 at a time. Because I think the ghost heat right now starts at 3, which is why you're able to alpha just 5 them and not care in the slightest, because the heat penalties are minimal. But if you try to alpha 5, like now you would get like, I don't know, like 90% heat. I haven't run the math. As well as them coming out like 2 at a time, so that AMS is more effective. Because right now, like a ball of 30 missiles, AMS will knock down like 2 or 3. You're still dead. So, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Oh. Well, it's man, I got you. It's hard for me to tell who's gonna take what for this one. It's actually kind of a diverse map. It's making me appreciate Caustic pretty slowly. I'm not gonna lie. For as much as I kind of dislike it, for you know the big donut in the middle, basically. It's a pretty good map, I guess. There's some diversity in it. I just got confirmation that they're finally in the lobby. Apparently what happened was they were in the lobby and then they needed to switch sides, so they needed to reform the lobby. They're back in lobby. I think they're going to be in match very soon, so hold on 1 second. We'll see. Oh, they're dropping. Here we go. Give me a sec.
Okay.
Alright, so here we go into round 3 of the week 3 RHoD match between CSJ and QQ.
I see it.
You see what?
I see the word Stormcrow.
Stormcrow, 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 Stormcrow? Oh, I see Stormcrows from both teams! Teams of Stormcrows! They have watched the EMP 228th match and they decided that this was the apt way. Oh, QQ's got fire starters.
Lasers. Yeah,
lasers.
Fire starter A's. I see lasers out of QQ's Stormcrow, so I'm going to try and find out
pulse.
exactly what that is.
Pulse? I saw some pulses.
It is. It's not streaks. It's 6 medium pulses, 5 medium pulses along
And
those lines.
it's already starting. I gotta get down. Going straight into Conic Notice Coterre. His first-person view perspective. He is in a streak Stormcrow, hitting Carpoondir in his medium pulse laser Stormcrow. These streaks are tearing Carp apart already.
Meanwhile,
he is shut down.
Is dead actually first. being focused out by QQ. It's 1-1. Canning notice Kotero
Wow.
is dropping quickly.
He goes down.
Is on legs.
And Solitude in the next streak, Stormcrow. He's pretty fresh. He's moving in on
Acquired.
QQ's
So that's-
actually doing a good job. They're staying back here, like sort of by the rocks, so anybody getting focused.
New target.
Oh wow, they're using the middle.
Have a chance.
They're using the middle of the caldera as a way. They're peeking. They're peeking using that ridge, which is a fantastic idea on QQ. They got to stick together, focus fire right now. If they want to get back control of this match. That's good. I think they're going to start moving back in a second. I'm going to switch to QQ's FPS here.
New target.
Drunk Canuck.
acquired. Heat level critical.
One of these medium laser start. See, oh, this is pretty bad positioning for QQ. Not sure this is something they want to do. They're shooting at legs. It looks like everyone's focusing legs. QQ's moving up the Caustic Ridge. They're focusing on the Stormcrows on the right. Solitude in the Stormcrows going down. One for QQ goes down.
New target acquired.
CSJ is split, and QQ is doubling back on the ones that have been isolated, getting
Yeah.
out of the fight.
This is
Joseph is on his own over here.
He's next.
Like,
He's
those
next to go
9
down.
A's, for the strat they're running, all legs, those 9As are just, they're doing a lot of damage.
They got to get Pasha down though. He's continually hitting that fire starter, and there he goes. So one of QQ's members is also out in the open right now. I think it's pretty. This is an intense match, and it's 3-2.
Take over main call.
QQ gets the Raven out in the middle. Just the Raven sitting in the middle right now. But there's another important. Oh, it's just 2 Ravens. That's it. 3 Ravens.
But I mean, if they
Two?
can break off, those can kite for days. The issue
Yeah.
is they have to deal with Kragor's, like the 5-star 9A with the small pulses. But again, like range kite for days, that's
Yeah.
the strat right now. It's up to them to execute it.
And Leo's fresh. Iron is taking some damage. That's all I got.
63%, but his legs are actually still pretty decent. So
Iron keeps showing his back. I'm not sure this is gonna be a good idea for him. It looks that fire starter is starting to close in really fast. Like you were saying, Siri. Yeah, it's that fire starter. Oh, there it goes, 3-1. And QQ not going down for the count, but Leo is trying to kite this out at the moment.
Leg destroyed.
yeah, the thing is, he goes 130. The 5-starter, it's still being up. It goes 150. He's never going to be able to shake that. He can get away from the crows, but
Target destroyed.
Leo goes down. QQ not going down without a fight. They're looking to bring this match back. It is 2-1 in CSJ's favor. But QQ taking the Caustic match. What an interesting loadout by QQ, huh? The medium pulses against the streaks, and look who won. New meta?
And-
What do you think?
well, I mean, I think CSJ was back, and they were trying to do that streak peak, but when QQ pushed in, they had some guys kind of in the Caldera, some guys doing streak peak, gave them very easy focus fire targets, whereas the focus fire come back from CSJ. It was decent on Carpundir, but it kind of fell apart from there. Their next target was next to like sort of the rocky entrance, and he was able to shield himself from about half their team. So that's where their focus fire fell apart. And not just that, but they didn't have focus fire on the lights. Marshall went down with 200 damage. That's like, he stayed up for a long time. He's in a light against a streak deck. You would expect that he's going to be doing minimal, right? But he does that much. I think that's like 5th on the QQ team. And then Kragor, he lives to the end, and he seals the deal in that fire starter. Because if he was down, those Raven 2Xs, it's still only like a 30-kilometer difference, but that's enough that they could kite those medium pulse Stormcrows for days.
For days.
For days.
Just for days.
Or like 12 and a half minutes, because that's how much was left in the match, but
Yeah,
for days.
I'm kind of like, wow, the streaks. I think CSJ didn't focus fire nearly as well as they could have. I think their lack of focus fire later in that match. QQ stayed together. They were hunting down the isolated mechs around those ridges, grouping up on them, swarming it, zerging it, going next. All right, these Ravens are last. Let's chase them down. You got to remember, those Ravens are a little bit slower than the average light mech. I think they had to be running slower. Did you see them? I don't think they were going.
It's 129. That's how much. That's
Yeah.
how fast they go.
It's
it's
hard to
a
outrun a
20-kilometer
Stormcrow.
difference.
It's kind of hard to outrun a Stormcrow long enough where you're not going to take
it's
damage.
Tricky. It's manageable, but it's tricky. Like if Kragor had actually gone down to Pasha Osis, or if his leg had been opened up so he could have been legged and left, then it's doable. But as it stood, his legs were, one was like orange, red, or was yellow armor. So RNG. Got out RNG'd.
Yeah. All right, so I
Well,
just
outskilled because it was actually not
streaks, yeah. So I just got confirmation. QQ is side 2 for the next drop. CSJ is side 1. Can we get the Smurfies this time? And look up the. We'll talk about this drop a little bit. I'm gonna grab this Smurfies if you don't mind. Give me a second, Sir.
Sure, already.
You got it?
The entire thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow, there's a firefight. Oh. So interestingly enough, the streaks failed for CSJ. I'm not sure if it was user error or did the medium pulse work. The medium pulse are arguably a tiny bit hotter, right? Or are they colder? Who knows? It's hard to tell.
I believe they are more heat efficient than medium lasers on top of the burn duration, if they were given the same treatment that IS ones were.
And we got Frozen City Night next. This is going to be another firefight, I'm pretty sure. Wow. Medium pulses and pulse lasers. There's the heavy streak deck with the Ravens by CSJ. I'm not sure if that side played into their advantage with it or rushing in. They could have calculated it a little better.
See, that's the thing too. Like SJR brought a streak deck to this week, and they also brought the Raven 2Xs. Well, they brought a Raven 2X and Raven 3L. And then again, at the end of the match, it was those two left alive, a very quick brawl in the middle, and like they ended up getting those lights hunted down. So they didn't win the brawl by a convincing enough margin, neither SJR nor CSJ. Well, they didn't win the brawl, period, CSJ. So QQ's choice to bring the 9As, like you saw how much damage they got out, like 200 apiece. Yeah, this is a light drop, so 200 is actually a very significant number. I think that choice in the lights was like the nail in the coffin, essentially. It sealed it.
Especially against lighter mechs, right? Like Stormcrows and stuff. You get the really quick, the light damage, the pulse damage off, and it just chews through the armor. It'll chew through armor just like a street quill, pretty much, except it's direct focused fire. So, yeah, that was a pretty interesting match to watch. But yeah, always good to see a big brawl in the middle of the Caldera. No long range play again, mostly medium mechs and stuff. It's pretty cool to watch. But so we got the next map, Frozen City Night. QQ did confirm they got this bottom side here. That means CSJ's team won. They got the top, and I think they're in lobby right now. But what do you think we're gonna see here? Yeah, what do you think we're going to see out of this?
This is a 2-all drop deck, class-based, 2 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, 2 assaults. We've seen, actually, that the lower side here, the side that QQ is spawning on, they have the choice of going out to like C6, B6 with long-range standoff fire if they want to. And I think we saw SJR do it this week, and actually, SJR lost the Seraphim doing this. They were out in C6. The Seraphim did a really good job just working the sort of C5, C4.
I think, did SJR win that drop though?
No, wait. They did win the drop. They were losing that initial engagement pretty badly.
Seraphim, I think, lost an opportunity there to seal the deal for themselves. SJR was in a pretty bad position the entire time down in that the C6, B6 area, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they had a Raven slip away from the fight and out kite to win the game, I think is what happened.
Yeah, that was a T-Phone? I can't remember, but
Legal
yeah,
department, I think, but-
legal, yeah. That was the Raven 2X, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a cold map, large lasers, light mech out in an open area. That position down there was bad for SJR mainly because you saw Seraphim, peeking those ridges down onto SJR. They pushed on that right side, put a lot of pressure in. The positioning by Seraphim, fantastic. The actual execution could have been a little bit better. It would have given them more breathing room by the end of the fight when, there's a kiting Raven 2X. Whereas, like we saw in this last drop, QQ played so well during the middle of the drop where CSJ was splitting up, losing focus fire, that they had breathing room at the end for that Raven, those two Ravens, to not get away. And the Ravens couldn't kite, they couldn't do their long range thing. QQ kept up the entire time, straight on their tail, the fire starter Stormcrows. Same thing goes, they could have gone for Seraphim. Seraphim, if they had executed that push a little bit better down there, it would have given them a bit more breathing room. But I don't think we're gonna see that. I think we're probably gonna see something more towards the dropship this time. CSJ is looking like they're a lot more flexible than we've seen them in the past. QQ is a little unpredictable right now.
They definitely like being, well, they had that standoff, but they like being aggressively engaged, which is why I don't think they're going to go for that C6 B6 play.
You mean QQ aggressively engaged? Or?
QQ, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to watch.
Well, because even when they were with those Clan ER large lasers on River City, they were actively working to get the shots in instead of just a come at us position, right?
Yeah, they're like fending off sort of a thing. They're not just not turning their backs for a chase or anything. They were trying to put down fire the entire time. That the maximizing your team's DPS is huge right when that engagement starts. Everyone needs to be firing the mechs that go out and do their own thing and aren't in the fight for 10, 20 seconds. It makes a massive difference. It could mean, one or two mechs going down faster for the team. So on maps like River City, maps like Caustic, maps like Frozen City, you see these quick battles kind of happen. And this match is turning out to be pretty good so far. I'm kind of liking the last QQ drop. They got a little, they brought a new drop deck, something that we haven't seen before, and I think they got a little bit more momentum in their favor after that. They might
the 2-wall deck has always been one of the more fun ones to watch, just because you're bringing all the elements into play equally.
Right.
It gives you the greatest flexibility and sort of loadout. So you're gonna get a brawly low end, or you can get a brawly high end, or you're gonna mix and match, or you're gonna pull something out of left field. And Frozen City is actually a pretty decent map for that too. Like you said, a quick dropship brawl, or pushing in through Lower City, up and around either way. Any way you cut it though, I think scouting is going to be the paramount thing on this drop.
Oh, yeah.
Locate where they are, assess those loadouts because it is flexible. Figure out how you're gonna move to maximize your own strengths and execute on that. And
totally.
I think that's something QQ has struggled on. I don't know how CSJ's is, so hopefully they bring it to the fore in this match.
I mean, honestly, it seems like they're a little bit light on scouting, both teams, from what I've seen. Not a lot of repositioning through movement from what the light mechs see or anything. It's more so repositioning based on what, the heavier mechs from each side, when they see the heavier mechs on the enemy side. That's the kind of movement they're looking at right now whenever they start firing at each other. I think if either of these teams started using scouting more to their advantage, though, you'd see, their ability to reposition themselves quicker just improve drastically. I personally think CSJ and QQ could both work on their scouting a tiny bit in this map. like you were saying, most scouts, what do most scouting mechs do? They go straight up for that middle, jump jetting over the top to see which way that enemy team is going exactly. They could be going saddle, they could be going mid dropship, they could be going lower dropship, they could be going down to D5, or C5, or B4. There's issues, there's stuff you got to call out for each team when you're scouting. It'll change the whole entire pace of the match. I think yeah, you're right. Scouting on this map's huge, especially with the visibility differences, the height, terrain, everything. Being in the right position at the right time is huge on Frozen City, especially Frozen City Night, where it's I do believe, coldest map in the game, right?
Huh, I wasn't actually aware it was colder than any of the other cold ones.
I'm
But
not sure
definitely
either.
a cold one at that.
It is, yeah. I
Better
think it is.
visibility, at least, than
Yeah.
the other version. I was going to comment, as far as scouting goes, like you said, first, third drops, not so much. The one that I do think had it was CSJ's movements in the second match on River City. When they were tucked into the notch on Citadel, they had their lights outside, having a quick peek where they were, and so they were prepared when Drunk Canuck pushed up close to jump on him and make their push.
That's a good point. Yeah, CSJ's lights did a fantastic job that drop. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, it was they took advantage of an opportunity that they had, and it turned the drop straight into CSJ's favor on a dime. Turned it on a dime. And the scouting, like we were saying, the scouting can turn it on a dime for either team. They switch up positioning, direction, they move one way or a different way, and it becomes a battle of who's going to be in the right position at the right time when you start firing at each other. Trying to get confirmation to see where they're at in the middle of the lobby. Get an update for everyone who's watching.
Yeah, actually, no, he's Drunk
They're
Canuck.
not in
There
yet.
he is. Okay. I get so paranoid looking over. It's difficult right now. What I try to do before a match is friend 5 or 6 people from the teams, and so that I can clearly see who's in match. Right now, I've only got Drunk Canuck on there, and it's...
Oh, they're forming the lobby still, but they are waiting on CSJ. It should be happening pretty soon. Yeah, so from past match experience, this is a little bit more of a uniform drop deck. So with clan mechs, with the longer range, higher damage, you have 2-2-2-2-2 or whatever. So it's going to be probably two dire wolves from each team, I would guess.
Just so goddamn strong.
Yeah.
Right now, so.
It's basically a turret. You place the turret at the back of the firing line that you want to control for the entire match, and you just wait for your enemies to walk into the turret, and that's just how you play a direwolf. So basically, it is one of the most powerful.
So simple.
It is very simple. It's just about timing. I guess the positioning is the hardest part, but yeah, we'll see. We'll probably see 2 direwolves, 2 timberwolves, 2 stormcrows, 2 firestarters. I don't know if we're gonna see Raven 2X's. This is a little bit more of a flexible drop deck. I think the Ravens would be a hindrance, maybe a mix, but you'd rather have firestarters in pack going after the 2 lights, 2 mediums, maybe cleaning up some heavies or something.
Streak adders?
Streak adders, oh no. No, not the streaks, please. But yeah, I don't know. You think we'll see a streak Stormcrow in there? I think it could help with light mechs and mediums maybe. Streak Stormcrows are a pretty decent mech. The
thing I'd say goes against them here is that the C4 bull dropship, that's open, but if you get into the buildings on either side, it gets really tough to hunt the lights with radar deprivation and all of the building cover that's available. If the lights are aware of you and they're actively avoiding you, your contribution to the fight's going to be minimal. If you, of course, as always, if you sneak up on them and alpha them, then rest in peace, said light. But I think as opposed to Caustic, I mean, on Caustic, QQ did a fantastic job. That second focus fire target of using terrain to cover himself. There's a lot more of that here to work with.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say maybe because there's the open area terrain, but if you get a good push at the same time, the streaks might work, to your advantage because the enemy team might be focusing, bigger mechs at the time. If you have one medium mech focusing the light mechs that are trying to gank all your heavier mechs or something, it might be a little beneficial, but at the same time, for a little bit of poke play, you don't really want streaks. You don't really see a Gauss medium laser Stormcrow build or anything like that. It's usually
I mean,
streaks or lasers now.
The Wolverine's still an option, actually. Seraphim, they were using
very true.
those, and that's one of the things that allowed them to outpoke SJR in that initial fight, was their right side mounts, and that
That's a
efficiency
good
of
point.
trading that they
Yep.
had.
And being able to alpha those lasers like that on a colder map as well is probably beneficial. So the Wolverine definitely could take a little bit of precedence here. It's hard to say when the arm gets shots off. Arm gets shot off a little easy, but um, hopefully. Hopefully, we don't see any of that because that's one of the saddest things. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's actually something I want to mention. In that SJR Seraphim match, the Wolverine from Seraphim didn't have a head laser. If he had a head
Oh,
laser,
yeah.
he could have hit legal department's left torso, I believe, cherry red, and could have taken the match. That would have won the match for Seraphim down in that valley, but he was stripped. He was just a Wolverine, just running at, a mech, just trying to. It was,
Yeah, Bill was saying, like, Bill was begging Wolverine pilots to bring that damn head laser for situations just like that.
yeah, it's very important. I mean, you got to think you have all your firepower on an arm, and you might say, okay, one medium laser, it's not going to do anything. You will learn very quickly in competitive play that one medium laser is like the bane of people's existence towards the end of a match. Like it's the difference between a weapon getting shot off or, 10 damage towards a leg getting blown off, something like that. It matters a lot. You want to bring.
They dropped.
Oh,
They
oh,
dropped.
here we go. Didn't get a notification.
Nope. Watching friends list for the win. Alright, let's see what all our predictions, how they all pan out. Oh, direwolves.
Direwolves? What a
Direwolves.
surprise. Alright, so, QQ does. Oh no, CSJ's got this bottom side. Smurfy, you liar. Or someone lied to me.
So they swapped.
No. It's, it is right. It is right. Okay, maybe Smurfy didn't lie. No one lied to me. Everything is okay.
Yeah, it is. It's okay.
Yeah.
QQ bringing a Hellbringer and a Timberwolf. That's their change up out of the standard. And they brought 2 Raven 2Xs. They are moving out down to the slow side. So maybe they want to do that deep defense strategy. Would you mind checking what their direwolves have for me quickly?
The QQ direwolf?
Yeah.
Yeah, will do.
Because CSJ, they brought the 5-star 9As there. Those lights moving up into the pocket. Try and have a quick look.
We have a Monkey at the UAC5 ER medium laser build from QQ. Not a lot of peak power, more so of a sustained DPS sort of thing. Not sure if going out in the open is the best build to have for that. And who else from QQ has that dire?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, QQ really favors those UAC direwolves, and that's one of the reasons why I thought they weren't gonna go out by Theta like this. CSJ, on the other hand, they do have like the 2 Gauss, 2 large pulse, 3 medium laser, like laser vomit.
They
builds.
both
So they're gonna out trade for sure.
Both QQ members brought UAC5 direwolves. I'm not sure about this. This is something you want to be rushing with more so. Are they contesting the cap? What's QQ trying to do out here?
I mean, they're grouped up. They're going for like 1-1 trades, but CSJ knows, they know what's up. They've seen this happen, and they're gonna do their best to just like out trade it from multiple angles.
And we're watching right now. I've got a energy esoteric here on the first person cam. You could see him trading with these QQ direwolves at a distance with his left side asim, and it is just making the QQ direwolves cry. And there goes one. CSJ just out trading QQ by a wide margin. I don't know what exactly
like CSJ can't get those fire starters into this fight, but with the trades like this, it
Oh,
literally
interesting.
doesn't matter.
One of CSJ's guys went down. Not sure exactly. Yeah. Okay. So maybe some other CS. Yeah, and if you look at Ring Wraith up in front of Esoteric here, he's at 60%. Interesting. QQ member overheats and kills himself. I think.
Ring Wraith falls. Not like. He's far enough away. He's just gonna drop down and get away. Well, with like sort of those anchors in the direwolves gone, QQ's they are. It looks like they're considering swing back to the left, knowing that Ring Wraith fell on the right. That's actually really smart, and trying to knock out some of the close range stuff. But I mean, they have that'll be walking right into the jaws of the 5-star 9As of Solitude and Dario.
This is a very, very tough position for QQ to be in. It's going to be really hard for them to work out of this right now. It's 4-5. They've got 5 to 7 right now. And
they're pushing up underneath the cliff here. They're trying to go after Ring Wraith, who's isolated over in B4. He knows it's coming. Ring Wraith is running away, and I think they're gonna get the 5-stars coming in after them. Yeah, not quite.
Ring Wraith
but CSJ is gonna
has to know.
Yeah, he knows.
Yeah, they're prepared for it. They know QQ is going to be coming up this ramp. QQ basically gave away their position with that UAV. Now you got the direwolf from CSJ.
Wait, somebody just used the strike. Well, if QQ wasn't in a bad position before, they are now, because they just forfeited this drop.
Who used that strike?
QQ was an airstrike going out towards CSJ, so...
Oh, wow.
Or maybe, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. QQ's saying it wasn't theirs. So... drama!
Well, we can replay it, and we'll go check out. This is a clear loss on QQ's part from the beginning of the match to the end, regardless of who used the strike. If CSJ used a strike and forfeited, this is just brutal. I mean,
that's a bit lacking in discipline to be using one now.
I'm not sure.
What if they rotated in a new pilot or something and he didn't realize the rules?
Yeah.
CSJ says not us, QQ says not us, so...
We're gonna have to replay it. Let's try and get a replay on this. I'm gonna start looking through the stream replay, if we can. I was right in Carp's perspective. You could see which direction it goes in. That's what I'm gonna go off of. Yeah,
because when
you know what? Also, check energies.
Like it was going out from QQ.
Yeah, that's what it looked like to me. But Carp didn't have a strike. Energy, I'm not sure if he had a strike. That's what I'm gonna go check. He was the one right in front of Carp. So we have information to look at this. We're gonna put it up on the and the mid-match analysis screen. Give me a second. So while this is up in limbo, what an interesting little thing here. Not really sure. So basically, we can all say CSJ won that drop pretty convincingly. QQ going all the way out in the open, getting crushed by long-range direwolves with, they equip short-range direwolves out in the open. I'm not sure why they wanted to trade like that, but there was a strike used at the end. So we're going to try and figure out exactly what happened with that. From QQ has that
Okay, well, while that's kind of playing out, we're still like a good 3-4 minutes from it actually happening on stream. So I need to run for like 30 seconds, and I'll be right back. Don't know if you want to go over what like actually happened in the drop, other than the
Yeah.
drama-inducing strike. So, be right back.
I'm gonna clear the canvas here. Trying to get a replay up, just making the QQ direwolves cry, and there goes one. Exactly. Alright, so what we're watching right now, looking through this replay, you could see Energy was the one who peeked Carp at the end there. He does not have a strike equipped. Not sure who else would have. But I'm also going to bring up... There's a moment coming up when Carp starts pushing. I'm going to switch back to this in a second. I'm going to get Map Tactic pulled up so we can... So basically, what happened was...
Back.
Yeah. So QQ moves out into this open area. We were just talking about it, SJR Seraphim before. Seraphim had clearly advantageous position, and CSJ did the same exact thing Seraphim did pretty much, except didn't push.
Yeah, the difference between the SJR look and the QQ look was that QQ was
Really
like,
quick,
up north
really
in
quick.
B6.
I've got the replay up on my stream right now, or up on the MWLN stream. We see Carp moving up the hill. We can see the direction of the strike coming up really quick. And here it goes. Strike looks down by QQ. Looks like the strike was placed. Yes, the strike was placed by QQ's direction up the hill. It was not Carpundier.
Yeah,
it was
someone. My replay was pretty straightforward. It was going out towards CSJ, and there was none of their guys in behind. So, well then. So
that would be a forfeit on QQ's last drop of the series. This is in favor of CSJ. 3-1. CSJ takes the series. QQ making a strategical error on the last drop, losing their momentum from the caustic drop, and yeah, I feel like they could have played that last one a little bit better, bring in the UAC5 direwolves, some questionable drop deck errors as well. So it was just a mix of errors on QQ's part.
CSJ says not us, QQ.
So I'm gonna go back on map tactic though. Just to go over this really quick, I'm gonna update the score if you want to start filling in the CSJ movements and other QQ movements. And that last one, what was the score? Do you know by chance?
8-1. Another good point is that could see if we really wanted to cycle, like, rewatch the drop and see if anybody had a strike on their side. Good thing is, it's Meg's problem, not mine, so...
We're just casting the match. We got some pretty good evidence there. Replayed twice, though, so... I think it was pretty clear from our perspective, at least. It wasn't confirmed directly, like we didn't see the player drop the strike, but it was from QQ's direction, and it went up the hill.
I'm gonna... I don't have the replay up on demand, though. It could have, like, that's the thing, though, it could have been a light from CSJ in behind. Yeah,
I
all
I
I'm gonna
looked
say is
for
like
it.
the actual positioning on that strike, whichever side put it down, that was terrible. Come on, do better than that. Make it easy on us. Like that was poorly aimed. Ah,
That's a really interesting, really interesting thing to happen. I think QQ's gonna. I think that's a win for CSJ either way, though. So I'm gonna get these CSJ movements in once.
yeah. Do that while I see if I can watch it on mine again.
I don't think there were any CSJ lights behind QQ, from what I saw at least. But just to go over the match really quick while Siri's double checking it. Essentially what happened was QQ went out into this B6 C6 area and they kind of like put themselves in a hole. They brought UAC5 direwolves that can't trade in an angle like that, and they just sat back there. Like we had on the stream, Esoteric was just just laying down Gauss, too large pulse at a distance, and QQ basically stood no chance returning fire at it. He was left side ASIM as well. It's almost like it was picture perfect for him. Other CSJ members were having really good trading opportunities. QQ was going down for the QQ's Direwolf was the first one to go down. I do believe it was Morgan or Monkey in the UAC5 Direwolf, but overall pretty for the strategy QQ used, it was not a favorable Direwolf build to bring. You usually want to rush more at the team with that you're facing because UAC5 is face time, it's distracting, it's a lot of ballistics hitting you at once, and the Gauss Direwolf, on cold maps especially, it was a great choice for Esoteric to bring the Gauss large pulse laser, medium laser Direwolf on Frozen City night because it's a cold map, so you're maximizing your mech's DPS, your team's overall DPS based on the map, and that's QQ. Regardless of who used the strike, QQ lost that drop in a competitive matter. It looked like QQ used the strike. Siri is confirming it for those still wondering right now. Not entirely sure. So the little yellow X's are like where QQ died, basically. They lost a few mechs out in that open area, and then moving up, they lost more. Again, not too advantageous to rush into the open areas. Did you happen to get any confirmation, Siri?
I'm looking at my perspective. It really looks like an airstrike, and
it's an airstrike. Oh, that is for sure, and it's directed towards Esoteric.
It rolled towards CSJ. There were no CSJ lights in behind QQ at the time. But
I'm
yeah,
gonna try and
that
check
was I've watched both perspectives. That was dropped like from QQ rolling towards CSJ.
up the rocks, right towards the dire
Up the
wolf.
rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
unfortunately, yeah.
game goes to CSJ regardless. So
Yeah. I guess we've covered everything with Frozen City Night. Covered the whole strike on replay from perspectives. CSJ did take the drop 3-1. They played really well tonight. Some really interesting matches from both QQ's, positioning and strategy drop deck. Same with CSJ. We saw a little bit more of a flexible CSJ tonight, which I think is going to do wonders for them competitively. And yeah, that's about it. But thank you everyone for watching tonight. It was a fun cast. Sorry about the technical difficulties in the first drop. Not exactly sure why clicking the spectator button, clicking enter, doing everything possible was not working, but it finally started working out of nowhere. So the last two matches that were casted were by Magician and Homeless Bill. You could check that out on the MWL on YouTube. That was the EMP228 match. That's Run 100I Week 3. Match previous to that is Eduvo and Carp. They did the SJR Seraphim match last Monday. That was a pretty good match to watch as well. Both of those up are on the YouTube. And you have anything to say, Siri, or?
no, I don't think I have a lot to add to that.
Shoutouts?
Fun to cast though. There was some interesting things in there that we saw, especially that pulse deck. So
yeah, it was fun to cast. All right, well, thank you everyone again for watching. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll be releasing the match list for whatever's going to be casted next. And have a good one. Signing off. Thank you.